October 26, 1881. 30 seconds of hell in a dusty lot behind the OK Corral. 20 gunshots fired at close range. 3 men dead. 3 wounded. Blood soaking into Arizona dirt. But one man, the man everyone was shooting at, walked away without a scratch. Not a single bullet touched him. Not that day. Not ever. His name was Wyatt Earp, and in a lifetime of gunfights spanning decades across the deadliest towns of the American West, he achieved something that defied all logic. He was never wounded. Not once. While his brothers fell, while his friends bled out, while men died all around him, Wyatt Earp remained untouchable. Hollywood spent a century hiding the truth about this man, because the real story is far stranger than any legend. The year is 1848. America is stretching westward like a hungry beast, swallowing territories, spitting out corpses. Into this chaos, Wyatt Barry Stapp Earp is born in Monmouth, Illinois, the 4th of 8 children destined to become legends and ghosts. His childhood is defined by wagon trains, Indian raids, and the constant shadow of violence. By 1864, the Earps are carving out a life in San Bernardino, California, where young Wyatt learns his first brutal lesson. In the West, you're either the hammer or the nail. But here's what Hollywood never told you. Before Wyatt became a lawman, before the gunfights and the glory, he was something else entirely. In the early 1870s, court documents reveal that Wyatt worked in brothels in Peoria, Illinois. He was arrested multiple times for prostitution operations, for horse theft, for burglary. The man who would become America's symbol of frontier justice was, in his youth, exactly the kind of criminal he'd later hunt down. By 1874, Wyatt reinvents himself. He becomes a lawman in Wichita, Kansas, then moves to Dodge City, the wildest cattle town in America. Saloons on every corner, gunfights every night, cowboys flooding in with months of pay and years of rage. And Wyatt? He's right in the middle of it all, learning something that would keep him alive for the next 50 years. Speed doesn't win gunfights. Nerve does. Dodge City, 1878. The streets run with whiskey and blood. Wyatt meets a dying dentist from Georgia named John Henry Holliday, Doc Holliday, a man coughing up his lungs while dealing cards and picking fights. They become friends, partners, brothers in everything but blood. Doc is fast with a gun, faster with a knife, and absolutely fearless because tuberculosis has already sentenced him to death. He has nothing to lose. That same year, something happens that cements Wyatt's reputation. Clay Allison rides into Dodge with murder on his mind. Allison is a psychopath, a killer who once dug up a body just to cut off its head. He's come to kill Wyatt, blaming him for a friend's death. The entire town holds its breath. 2 of the deadliest men in the West, face to face in the street. But Wyatt doesn't draw. He doesn't flinch. He just stares Allison down with eyes like frozen steel, while Bat Masterson, hidden in the shadows, points a shotgun at Allison's back. Allison blinks first. He rides out, and Wyatt's legend begins to grow. In 1879, Wyatt and his brothers, Virgil, Morgan, Warren, James, arrive in Tombstone, Arizona. The town is exploding with silver money, corruption, and violence. It's a powder keg waiting for a spark. The Earps take law enforcement positions, putting them on a collision course with a gang of rustlers and murderers who call themselves the Cowboys, led by a paranoid criminal named Ike Clanton. Threats are made. Weapons are drawn. The Cowboys promise to kill the Earps again and again, and everyone in Tombstone knows blood is coming. October 26, 1881. The afternoon sun beats down on Fremont Street. Wyatt, Virgil, Morgan, and Doc Holliday walk toward a vacant lot behind the OK Corral where the Cowboys are waiting. Ike Clanton, Billy Clanton, Frank McClory, Tom McClory. Some are drunk, all are armed. The tension is so thick you could choke on it. Virgil shouts for them to disarm. Someone, no one knows who, fires the first shot. Then it's chaos. Pure, screaming chaos. Billy Clanton, just 19 years old, shoots Morgan in the shoulder. He shoots Virgil in the leg. Frank McClory fires at Wyatt from 10 feet away. Doc's shotgun roars. Bullets are flying from every direction. Smoke fills the air. Men are screaming. 30 seconds that feel like 30 hours. If you're fascinated by the dark, brutal realities of the Old West, Stories that Hollywood tried to bury. Consider subscribing and leaving a like. It helps this channel survive. And trust me, the real story gets even stranger from here. When the smoke clears, 3 cowboys are dead or dying. Virgil, Morgan, and Doc are bleeding, being carried away by townspeople. And Wyatt? He checks his coat, his shirt, his body. Not a mark, not even a graze. 20 shots fired in a space the size of a bedroom, and he walked through it like a ghost. His brother Virgil would later testify that it seemed impossible. Doc Holliday, who'd seen hundreds of gunfights, called it the damnedest thing I ever witnessed. The newspapers called it luck, but it wasn't luck. It was just the beginning. The aftermath is bloodier than the gunfight itself. Ike Clanton files murder charges against the Earps and Doc Holliday. Wyatt and Doc are thrown in jail. A judge named Wells Spicer presides over a hearing that grips the nation. After weeks of testimony, he rules it justifiable homicide. The Earps walk free, but the cowboys want revenge. December 1881. Gunmen ambush Virgil Earp outside a Tombstone saloon, riddling him with buckshot. He survives, barely, his arm crippled for life. Wyatt starts sleeping with guns under his pillow. March 1882. Morgan is playing billiards when assassins shoot him in the back through a window. He dies in Wyatt's arms, choking on his own blood, whispering, "I can't see you, Wyatt." That's when Wyatt Earp stops being a lawman and becomes something else, a hunter. He forms a federal posse, Doc Holliday, his brother Warren, and a few trusted guns. They ride out on what becomes known as the Vendetta ride. They track down every man they believe killed Morgan. Frank Stillwell is found at a train station. Wyatt shoots him so many times that witnesses count over 20 bullet wounds. Indian Charlie, Curly Bill Brocious. One by one, Wyatt finds them. One by one, they die. And through it all, through ambushes, shootouts, manhunts across the Arizona territory, Wyatt Earp is never wounded. Not a scratch. His mystique becomes supernatural. By 1882, with murder warrants on his head, Wyatt flees Arizona. He spends the next 47 years drifting across the West. He runs saloons, deals cards, works as a guard. He lives with Josephine Sarah Marcus, a Jewish actress from New York who'd been with him since Tombstone and who'd spend the rest of her life protecting his image. Wyatt keeps waiting for Hollywood to tell his story. He befriends William S. Hart and Tom Mix, the biggest cowboy stars of the silent film era. He begs them to make his movie. They never do. Wyatt dies in Los Angeles on January 13, 1929, at age 80. Never wounded in a single gunfight. Never brought to trial for the Vendetta ride killings. Never the marshal that Hollywood would later claim. Just a deputy, a gambler, a complicated man who walked through bullets like they were rain. Tom Mix and William S. Hart are pallbearers at his, funeral. The newspapers call him a legend. But Hollywood? Hollywood isn't interested in complicated truths. 2 years after Wyatt's death, a writer named Stuart Lake publishes Wyatt Earp, Frontier Marshal, a biography so exaggerated, so sanitized, so utterly fabricated that it becomes an instant bestseller. Josephine feeds Lake her version of events, carefully erasing her own scandalous past, her time as Sheriff Johnny Behan's lover, Wyatt's desertion of his first wife. Lake invents the long-barreled buntline special revolver. He creates the myth of the humble justice-seeking marshal. He transforms a complex, morally ambiguous gunfighter into a Hollywood hero, and Hollywood devours it. Between 1931 and 2025, over 40 films and TV series tell Wyatt's story. Henry Fonda, Burt Lancaster, Kevin Costner, Kurt Russell, each one cleaner than the last, each one hiding the brothels, the murders, the moral compromises. The 1950s TV series, The Life and Legend of Wyatt Earp, shows him shooting to wound, not kill, a noble lawman who avoids bloodshed. It's a complete fantasy. The real Wyatt shot to kill every time. He hunted men down and executed them. He wasn't a hero. He was a survivor. But here's the thing. Hollywood couldn't hide forever. The man walked through a lifetime of gunfights and never got hit. Not in Dodge City. Not at the OK Corral. Not during the Vendetta ride. In an era when the average lawman lasted 2 years before being killed or crippled, Wyatt Earp lived to 80, dying of old age in a comfortable bed. Historians still can't explain it. Was it his cold nerve? His ability to make split-second decisions while bullets flew? Was it his philosophy of deliberation over speed? Or was it something else? Something we'll never understand about the men who lived and died in that brutal, blood-soaked era we call the Old West? Wyatt Earp wasn't immortal, but he might as well have been. And the story Hollywood buried, the real story of a flawed, violent, unkillable man who became a myth, is finally being told. If you want more dark, true stories from the forgotten corners of American history, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. Your support keeps this channel alive. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from, city and country? And don't go anywhere. Another nightmare from the Old West is waiting in the next video. Because out there, in the dust and blood of frontier America, truth has always been stranger than any legend.